My name is Stephanie, and I'm going to be guiding you through a yin practice today that focuses on the upper body. So, opening the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, the neck. And for today's practice, we'll be using some props. So, if you have a bolster, you can have that handy. If you don't have a bolster, no worries. You might grab some pillows from your couch or from your bed. Also, have two blocks on hand. And an alternative for blocks, if you don't have yoga blocks, you can use some thick books, even some shoe boxes that aren't too hollow, something that you can put some weight on and you know will be secure. And then finally, have some blankets handy. And these can be beach blankets, towels, or traditional yoga blankets if you do have those. And we're going to begin on our backs today. So you're welcome to shift your blocks, your props off to the side. We won't be using them quite yet, but have them close by so they're within reach and you don't have to go searching for them once we begin. And let's come on to the back. As you lie yourself down onto the back, take a moment here to ground your feet. Snuggle the shoulder blades slightly underneath you so you feel a little opening across the heart. And then allow your arms to rest by your sides. If there's any tension at all in the low back, press down into the heels, lift the hips, lengthen the tailbone forward, and then gently reset the hips onto the mat. So ideally, we're looking for neutral in the low back. We don't want to be completely tucked, and we don't want to be in the reverse where there's, a big arch under the back and you can kind of slide a hand or something under there. You want somewhere in between those two spots. Keeping the knees bent if that feels comfortable, or walk your feet out to the sides of the mat, turn the toes in slightly, and let your knees knock, creating a hammock for your low back. And this might feel softer for you or more like a release. As long as it's comfortable, close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, begin to smooth out the face, relaxing the forehead, the corners of your eyes, the mouth and jaw. And just observe if the chin is sticking up. Naturally, we tend to be forward looking. So let your head drop back and feel heavy. Relax your shoulders, settle your arms and hands, and feel the weight of your body begin to arrive. Bringing your focus into the present moment, allowing yourself to be here. Let's take a nice full deep inhale through the nose. And on an exhale, open the mouth and sigh it out. And let's do that one more time. Inhale through the nose, full deep breath, expanding belly, ribs, chest. And then open your mouth, let it go. Just releasing tension, releasing the breath. Good, and once you're empty, let your breath take on its natural rhythm. So you don't need to shape it or change it, but instead just let it move in and out on its own. So the practice of yin is about letting go, surrendering and softening into the moment. And that includes the shapes and the poses that we'll move into. And the breath is always there. So the breath is a beautiful tool to use to bring yourself into this moment, especially if the mind feels active or the stretches and holds feel a little challenging. Allow your breath to wash over you and soothe the body and the mind. Take a few more rounds here, watching the breath as it gently Moves in and out. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Heel toe your feet as wide as your hips and allow your knees to point straight up towards the sky. And before we change out of this position, allow your hands to come to the heart, just sealing the palms at the chest. Take a moment here to acknowledge that you've arrived, that you showed up for your practice, giving yourself this time to take care of. If there's any sort of intention you'd like to place for your practice, consider what that might be now. Inhale through the nose. And on an exhale, sigh the breath out. Gently release your arms by your sides and slowly blink the eyes open. All right, yogis, we're going to remain on our backs. I want you to extend your legs out. So straighten your legs on the mat and reach your arms over your head. Just get a full body stretch to lengthen from top to bottom. And then on an exhale, relax your legs and relax your arms. So make sure you're fully on your mat and your props aren't in your way. You might have to shift a little bit. From here, the hips are going to remain at the center of the mat, nice and steady. So think about everything moving from this place. And then what I want you to do is take your right foot to the edge of the mat. So you're just going to slide it out to the right. And then bring your left leg to meet your right. If the left leg feels like it can't quite meet the right foot, bring the right foot a little bit closer so that the legs come together, but now they're at an angle. If it feels okay for you, pick up your left leg and cross your left ankle on top of your right. So the legs are crossing at the ankles, the feet are soft, hips remain heavy, the body will want to drift a little bit to the right. Instead, try to keep your hips pointing straight up towards the sky. Now, if you'd like a little more here, start to snuggle your shoulders and your upper body to the right as well. We're creating this rainbow shape or banana shape. This is called banana pose. You can stay like this, resting your hands on your belly, or if you want to go a bit deeper, crossing your forearms with the right forearm on top and allow your arms to drape over your head. So you're making a square shape with your arms and allowing your head to rest between them. Relax the tops of your shoulders, especially if it feels like they want to lift up towards the ears. And maybe you close your eyes again here. So one of the unique things about a yin practice is we'll hold the poses anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, so just depending on the shape. And the idea is the longer we're in these poses, the more of an opportunity it gives the body to respond. So naturally, the body first is just trying to figure out what to do. Coming into the pose, understanding where the arms go, where the legs go, where the weight of the body should be. And then once we find that, we start to soften into it. So it's very different than a vinyasa or a hatha class. We're not trying to strengthen or build energy. We're doing the opposite. We're softening and slowing down. This particular shape gives us an opportunity to open the sides of the body, the shoulders, the upper back. And then to come out of the pose, the transitions are just as important. So move slowly. Release your arms, uncross your legs. Bring your torso back through center, just kind of snuggling it through neutral. And bring the legs back to center as well. So your heels are in line with your hips. Take a moment to pause. And then we'll switch. Slide your left leg over to the left, any amount, and then bring your right leg over to meet it. And if it doesn't quite reach, bring the left leg in a little closer. You can keep the legs next to one another, or you might pick up your right foot and stack it over your left, crossing at the ankles. Keep the hips level and steady. The right hip is going to want to turn to the left, so try to remain neutral in the hips. And then start to kind of like an inchworm. You're going to snuggle your shoulders and your torso over to the left as well, keeping that right side heavy, finding a nice rounding through the right side body. Either stay here or reach your arms over your head, making that X shape. This, or rather the square shape, this time with your left arm on top. Relax the shoulders, soften the neck. And give yourself the time to ease into it. So even though we did this pose on one side, the left could be very, very different. For me, my shoulders a little tighter. And I can feel a bit of strain in that area. Try to relax. See if you can let go. About 30 more seconds here. So I'm watching the time as we hold the poses. Nice and easy, unwind the arms, bring them by your sides, uncross your legs, adjust your torso so you feel neutral, and do the same with the legs. So bring everything back to the midline, back to center. On an inhale, reach your arms over your head. On an exhale, hug your knees into your chest. So just a little counter. Hugging the knees in, maybe rocking a little side to side if that feels good in your low back. Very nice. When you're ready, roll to your right side. Use your left hand to gently press yourself up. And we're going to make our way to hands and knees, tabletop position. We won't be here for a super long time, but just a moment. So spread your fingers, stack your shoulders, set your knees underneath your hips, and bring the tops of the feet down. On an inhale, glide the heart forward, lift the gaze, cow pose. Exhale, press into the earth, round your back, cat. Let's do two more. Inhale, chest pulls forward, elongate the spine. Exhale as you press into the ground and round your back. Last one. Inhale, chest pulls forward. Exhale to round. Beautiful. Come to a neutral spine, and you're going to pause here. So from here, using the block, so this is where our props are going to come into play. And we'll take some time in between the shapes to set up. And often we'll use quite a bit of our props. But for now, we're just going to use 2 blocks if you have them. If you don't have blocks, again, you can use thick books, or you can even stack some of your blankets if they're thick. From here, you're going to lower your elbows to the blocks and have the elbows about at the center of your block because they'll slide back just a little bit. Work to keep your knees underneath your hips and bring your palms together in front of you like you're making prayer position. Take an inhale. On an exhale, allow your heart and your chest to move towards the floor. Now, when this action happens in the body, you might find your forehead resting on the blocks. That's okay. If you want to take it deeper, slide your elbows back an inch, slide your knees back an inch, and maybe your head moves down further. So this is different than child's pose. The knees stay underneath the hips instead of the hips moving back towards the heels. If it feels accessible in your body, start to draw your thumbs towards the back of your neck. Let your shoulders soften. Feel your outer upper arms spin down. This is called melting heart pose, Anahatasana. Relax your face, observing the sensation in the body. Again, if it's too intense, let your forehead rest on the edge of your blocks. And then notice where you go when you come into the poses. Does the mind start to pick up and become pretty active? Or do you feel the reverse? Does everything start to slow down? There's no goals. You're not trying to get to a place where you feel so zen and peaceful. But we're coming to a place where we're conscious and aware of what's happening inside. And we encourage and guide the body to come into a place that feels a little softer. You know, when I first started practicing yoga, I felt like, you know, why can't I just calm my mind? Why can't I just relax and slow down? But I came to understand that, you know, each day is different. We have different needs. We're in different places emotionally, physically. So just showing up on your mat is enough. Doing the work, coming, putting in the time. And it's that encouragement, it's that guiding the body towards softness, towards stillness. Noticing when the mind is active and doing something as simple as watching the breath, bringing yourself into the now. Last 30 seconds here. To come out of this pose, extend your arms forward, draw the front ribs in and up, press the forearms into the block, and rise. Set your hands onto the floor. Shift one of your blocks out of the way. The other block is going to go forward to the very top of your mat. As you come to hands and knees for a moment, give the hips a little sway, side to side. Good, and then let's come into child's pose for just a moment, knees wide, big toes touch. Let your torso, your forehead release. And you'll feel how different those two poses are by comparing them here. Very nice. On an inhale, come back up. Walk your hands forward and then lower onto your forearms. As you come onto your forearms, have that one block that you kept close to you. Slide your knees back and lower your hips down. Untuck your toes. Take the feet as wide as your mat and lengthen through the feet. So you feel lots of extension through the legs. But once you have that, see if you can let it go. Soften into it. We're coming into Sphinx pose. In Sphinx, the elbows are underneath the shoulders, the forearms are parallel, and the palms are down. This block is here as an assist if you want to lower your forehead on it. And I'll show you what that looks. So traditional Sphinx is very active. We're pressing into the floor, lifting the heart, lengthening forward, and reaching the tail long. In Yin, our Sphinx pose is much softer. So you can let your shoulder blades drop together, your heart move closer to the floor, similar to melting heart pose. And then maybe that's where your forehead releases onto your block. If for any reason this is uncomfortable in your low back, keep a little lift of your navel so you feel some length through your back. And then once you arrive, once you settle in, relax the back of your neck, soften your face, and begin to tune in again. Observing the body, the sensations, and perhaps watching the breath without needing to change it or do anything to it. Relax the lips, soften the tongue. So come out of this pose. Slowly lift your head if you are resting it on something. Shift your block to the side for a moment and lower completely onto your belly. So take the elbows nice and wide. You can cactus them or bring them into a T shape. Turn your gaze to the right. Give your hips a little shift, a wiggle side to side. Good, and then switch. Turn your head the other way. I'm going to keep my head facing you so you guys can hear me. And as you rest your ear towards the floor, relax your neck, your shoulders. Again, if it feels nice to sway the hips side to side, go for it. Good. And start to look down. Prop yourself up again on your forearms. So I'm going to show you the next pose that we're going to come into. And this one is called bow tie pose. You'll understand why it has that name in just a moment. So similar to Sphinx, we're starting propped up, and you can still have that block close by for your head if you'd like. Pivot your forearms in and bring your right forearm on top. So I like to think about, the equal sign if you do a math equation. If you look down, that's what it looks like, an equal sign. So your forearms are parallel to one another. Now from here, start to walk your hands out to the sides of your mat. So you're crossing your arms. And how far you cross really depends on your body, your shoulders. You can stay like this with the palms down, or you can rotate the palms up. I tend to prefer palms down. Let your shoulders slide away from your ears. So naturally, they're going to want to lift up towards the ears. Instead, let them draw down. And from here, you can let your head go. Your chin can rest on your arms, or if that block is close enough, your forehead, once again, can rest on the block. So this tends to be a pretty intense stretch for the upper back and shoulders. And if you find that it's a little hard to get into, I want to show you a different variation. So if you're in the shape, stay. If you're struggling to get into it and you want a different variation, watch me. Your bolster, or maybe one or two rolled blankets, will come underneath your chest. So under the chest and under the ribs. That way you're a bit propped up. Now, when you come into the shape, it's a little easier because the body's higher. You'll do the same thing. Have your right forearm on top and walk your hands out to the side. Palms up or down. Forehead will come towards the floor. Or maybe if you want it, your forehead can rest on something. So those are two options. Again, if you don't have a traditional bolster, you can use a pillow, you can use a folded up blanket just to elevate the chest and the ribs a bit. And then as always, we soften in. Relax the body, let go. Deep breaths. And though we're not trying to change the breath, right? We're not doing ujjayi or any other sort of breathing technique. You want to make sure that the breath isn't shallow, especially when we're on the belly. We tend to kind of grip a bit or hold. Let your breath be smooth. So it comes and goes as it pleases, but it's smooth, it's easy, it's not choppy, it's not very short. Relax the back of your neck. Soften your eyes. Last minute here. Gently begin to lift your forehead, whether it's on a block or your head is just dropping towards the floor. Lift the belly button slightly to lengthen your tailbone and so slowly unwind your arms. Come to Sphinx for a moment just to reset. Lift your heart. All right, second side. Take your arms into that equal sign so that they're parallel. Your forearms are parallel. And this time, it's the left forearm that's on top, that's in front. Again, you might stay on that bolster if you were using it for the first side, or if you weren't, you're just going to be on the mat. Start to crawl your arms out to the side, crossing anywhere along the arms. So you could be crossing at the elbows, you could be crossing a little higher, a little lower. There's no set specific right point. It's just what works for your body. And then let your shoulders relax a bit away from the ears. Find that softening first. And when you're ready, release your forehead towards the floor. It doesn't have to touch. It doesn't even have to be resting on anything. You could just have your chin moving towards the arms and the back of the neck lengthened. Where can you soften? Where can you release? And there's days that I show up on my mat and I find that it's challenging to just be here. My mind is thinking of so many other things. So, one thing that I find helpful is to add a little mantra. And you might have your own mantra that you work with. You might just simply silently repeat the word Om. Or as you watch the breath, silently in your mind, you might say inhale, exhale, or soften, surrender. So just something to play with if you ever want to explore that and see how it helps, if it does help. There's so many different tools, so many different techniques we can use, and that's just one of them. Last minute here. Slowly begin to lift your head. Draw the belly in and up. Lengthen your tailbone. And carefully pull your arms out to the side. You'll likely feel it when you're coming out of the shape. From here, place your hands down. If you have the bolster, you can put your hands on the bolster and bring yourself up to hands and knees for a moment. Walk your knees in. Bring the legs together and sit back on your heels. So sit up tall for a moment. Roll the shoulders back. Already begin to notice the effects of the practice, a sense of opening and expansion in the upper body. If your eyes are closed, blink them open. Place your right fingertips down on the floor next to your right hip and just crawl the hand out to the side. Reach your left arm up and over, finding a side body stretch. Soften your right shoulder. If this is too much to sit back on your heels, you can also do this from the shins. Inhale, come back up. Place your left hand outside of your left hip. Crawl the fingertips out to the side. Right arm up and over. Relaxing both of the shoulders. Turning your heart skyward. And then inhale, bring your torso to center. Release your arms. Okay. Second to last pose. So we're gonna set up, shift your bolster to the side if you were using it, or your blankets. And what you'll need for this next shape is your blocks. So we're gonna take the blocks. One is going to be on the medium setting, and one is gonna be on the lowest setting. And so for the block that will be closest to you, you want it flat. So the short sides of the block are parallel to the long sides of your mat. And you'll place that about 3/4 of the way up your mat. Second block, it's gonna go on the narrow setting, medium. So medium is not totally flat, it's that next one up, and we don't want it to be too tall like a tower. So it kind of looks like, if you look at it, an upside down T. Have some space between the two blocks, about 5 to 6 inches or so. It will depend on your body. And then turn around so you're facing away from the blocks. Bend your knees, place your feet flat. Scoot your buttocks forward, and then using your hands to gauge, we're gonna lower down, bringing the block that's closest to you directly underneath the shoulder blades. And then that second block, again, you might have to adjust it if you have a bun or a ponytail. Again, maybe moving it to the side so it's not in the way, and your head can completely rest. So allow the back of the neck to feel long. Chin isn't tucked, then you're definitely not lifting the chin high to the sky. As you set the blocks in place, relax your arms by your side. So instead of having the arms close to the hips, I want to encourage you to take them wider, like a T shape, or maybe even cactus. And this is going to feel really nice after what we did a moment ago with those bow tie pose, bow tie arms. I like to call it spaghetti arms because they're so loose. If your low back feels tender at all, lift the hips, lengthen, and you can keep your knees bent. A few other options would be straightening your legs or bringing the soles of the feet together and letting the knees fall out to the side. Choose the option that allows you to find the most release in the upper body. So if taking your knees out to the side feels like a really good inner thigh stretch, then absolutely take that. But if it causes you to come out of what's happening in the upper body, maybe keep the knees bent and the feet flat. You might close your eyes again. Feel the muscles soften. Imagine your body evenly releasing from right to left. Soften the lips. Relax the tongue. the last minute here, you might consider weaving in a mantra or tuning into the breath and observing the gentle rise and fall of the belly and the chest. If your legs are straight or your knees are dropping out to the side, slowly re-bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. Bring your arms back by your side, so drawing them closer to the hips. And as slowly as you can, roll to one side, coming off of your blocks. So just choose the side that you have more space. If you have space on both sides, you can roll to your right. Stay on your side, reach back, and slide your blocks out of the way. And then roll onto your back once again. As you come onto your back, just feel the effects of those blocks. Notice if there's still almost like a remainder of the blocks, an imprint of the blocks in your back, behind your head. Good, and then hug your knees to your chest. Give yourself a gentle squeeze, a soft rock from right to left. Bring your knees back through center. Take an inhale, and on an exhale, nice and slowly, let your legs extend forward. So just let the legs reach out long. Relax your arms by your side. If you'd like to support yourself in any way with your bolster, with your blankets, you can. Maybe rolling up a blanket underneath your knees to support your back. Or I always like to cover myself. I get cold easily. It just feels more soothing and comforting to have something over me. So if that feels right for you, take it. Set yourself up so that you're as comfortable as you can be. This is our final pose. In traditional vinyasa or hatha class, we call it shavasana. In yin, we call it pentacle. So think about those extensions, your arms, your legs, the crown of your head. Feeling yourself spread out in all directions and allowing your body to fully and completely let go. You are welcome to stay here, allowing your body to linger as long as needed in this final pose. If you feel ready to return, Slowly start to deepen your breath. Add a little wiggle to your fingers and toes. Start to rock the head a little side to side. On an inhale, stretch your arms over your head, lengthen through your legs, full body stretch. Exhale, hug the knees to the heart. Finding your shins, little rocks side to side. And eventually roll to one side and make yourselves up to seated. Bring yourself to seated nice and slowly. As you find your way to your seat, let the shoulders draw back and down. Lift and lengthen through the crown of the head. Notice how you feel. Observe the effects of your practice. Let's join the hands together in front of the heart, sealing the palms in gratitude. Taking a moment to acknowledge and honor this practice. Invite in a sense of lightness, a sense of love and peace right into your heart center. Take a nice full breath in. And on an exhale, bow to your heart. Namaste.